Ready, begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Commissioner meeting. Today is November 5th, 2025. And today's meeting is a public forum. We do have a call-in option provided. And the meeting is being video and audio recorded with minutes taken. And we're also being live streamed. If you wish to speak, make sure that you come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments under 3 minutes. So welcome, everyone. Are there any awards, recognitions, or correspondence?
Real quickly, I attended actually the second meeting, but it's a organizational meeting for rural fire protection area in the Juniper Canyon, Fulton Canyon areas. And I was amazed at the number of farmers that showed up and the number of agencies. Governor's office made sure that the Oregon fire marshal was there, the different RFPAs, but I remember, I'm not going to tell you how many years ago, but in middle school, junior high, high school, and college, fighting fire in Juniper Canyon every year. And every year, everybody, all the farmers would get done and say, hey, we have got to do something about organizing, making this an organization that can actually fight fire. And even back then, we didn't get the support that BLM, USF, and those get now. So my hat's off to a multi-decade effort to organize an RFPA for the unincorporated or the unprotected area in Umatilla County. It's going to be a win-win-win for all of the different agencies and for Umatilla County to fill that donut hole with a protective agency that actually can participate in the conflagrations and equipment and all of the things that a organization of that type will allow. So my hat's off to all those farmers from out in that area.
All right, we'll move on to approval of minutes of previous meeting, October 1st and October 15th. A second, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Any additions to the agenda? Public input or recognition of visitors? I think we have a little visitor in the back. Right? Did you come with Grandpa? No? Okay. Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here today. Let's see, we'll move on to business items. We're moving to a public hearing and we're moving out of our regular meeting. And the meeting is now open to the floor for public comment on a road transfer.
This is the time scheduled for a public hearing regarding the transfer of Southeast 10th Street, a portion of it from Umatilla County to the city of Hermiston. Back in July, earlier this year, the board approved an agreement with the city of Hermiston for this transfer. This is part of the formal transfer now, and it includes a public hearing. The notice was posted on in various places, including on the street to be transferred. This is part of a larger development for the city of Hermiston, and it's before the board following the public
Are there any comments? Questions?
Commissioners, Mark Morgan, Assistant City Manager, City of Hermiston. So appreciate the county working with us on this road transfer. The Southeast 10th Street section that we're talking about here has been labeled as a collector on the city's transportation system plan for many, many years. Now the city is continuing to grow out to the east side of the community. Frankly, when we look at the construction activity that's taking place right now, and as well as the developments that are really in the pipeline for development. We see probably somewhere in the range of around 1,200 housing units that are going to be building over the next 10 years or so along that 10th Street corridor. And so we could stick our heads in the sand and try to ignore this issue all we want. But at the end of the day, having the city control this section of the roadway makes things just a lot more efficient for us doing our utility planning as well as maintaining the roadway and those types of things. So this is really the culmination of a long-term plan and part of our transportation system plan. So I appreciate you guys working with us to transfer jurisdiction of that roadway.
Thank you, Mark. And thanks for working with Tom and I on making sure that that went smoothly. Thank you.
Any more comments? Okay, we'll move out of public hearing and back into our regular meeting. Motion.
There it is. I move to adopt order RD 2025-03.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. East End Bridge Project.
Commissioners, Tom Fellows, Public Works Director. What Public Works has before the board today is a request for engineering services that are required from Anderson Perry to move forward on some bridge maintenance and repair. Anytime we do some major bridge repairs or whatnot, it does require an engineer's stamp to get the state to move those things forward and actually take these bridges off from out of load rating. Currently, we have a contract with Anderson Perry where they provide our engineer of record when we require engineering services. Just have to go through a work order process where they give us an estimate and time and expense, and commissioners approve it, and then we. So that's really what we're asking for here. They've given us an estimate of $22,000 for engineering services. Some scheduled bridge repairs.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. I'd move for approval of the bridge placement engineering with Anderson and Perry.
I'm going to second. I just have a comment. There's going to be some very happy people when this bridge is put in. Oh my goodness. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We aim to make people happy.
Yeah. Thank you. China? Sheriff's vehicle. Oh, I'm sorry. Public Works.
So the second item Public Works has before the board is the request for what they refer to as a flip axle. It gives our lowboy additional weight allowances for hauling heavier equipment since we've purchased crusher this year. We've determined that we need just a little bit more capacity on our lowboy. So the flip axle is built by the same company that built our lowboy kits, and the cost of that axle on Sourcewell is $17,892.50.
I'd move for approval.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Elections payable. I'm sorry. Sheriff's vehicle. I am in a tick today.
Going to keep
I
up with
know,
you.
sorry.
Whatever you want, I'll come up when you're ready. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Josh Roberts, Criminal Division Lieutenant at the Sheriff's Office. Before you today is a request to approve the trade of County Unit 312, which is a 2011 Ford F-250 Super Cab diesel pickup, to Umatilla County Fire District 1. Give you just a brief background. For a while, we were using them as kind of our upfitter and local repair, so we didn't have to send our patrol cars out when they would have an electronic issue or that kind of stuff. And so their shop there has somebody on staff that does all of their upfitting and are qualified to do that work for us, and they've been gracious to do that for us. They approached us on Unit 312, which we sent over to be decommissioned, and we're looking to purchase it from us. The value of $16,000 was outside of their budget, and so they asked whether or not we would be open to trading that vehicle for the value of the work that they provided. They've decommissioned a number of our patrol cars, had some repairs. They took equipment out of one of our old ones and put into a new one so that we could transfer that over to corrections. And so the culmination of all that work over the last number of months, up to close to a year now, I think is $8,981. So we would have to pay that to them regardless. So then when they approached us for the trade and talked it over, we've talked it over with county and feel that this is a mutually beneficial thing for us to do is to offer that to them in trade for the full $16,000 value. So the $16,000 would pay off our $8,900 bill and then give us approximately $7,000 left over for future credit toward additional work. So we request approval of this trade.
Pretty clear. And thank you for following through on this and staying with it, Josh. I move for approval.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioners, thank you. Elections payable envelopes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Cragen, Department of Administrative Services. Here before you is item number 1. It is for a payable. It's in bail for envelopes in the amount of $8,195. Since it's over $5,000, it requires your approval for payment.
Steve, I'd move for approval.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner. Elections payable scanner.
Number 2. This is the maintenance and service for our return ballot envelope scanner. It is to Caldwell Sales Consulting in the amount of $8,589.
Quick question on this, Steve. Does it have to be serviced after or before each election, or just once a year, or once 5 years, or how's that work?
Well, I don't know exactly what the service maintenance has been. I think we only really had it serviced once, to be honest with you.
That's the new one that we bought like 3 years ago.
We actually bought that in 2020. We bought a spare because they don't make it anymore a couple of years ago.
Okay,
The old one's still running.
got it. Thank you. Move for approval.
Been moved and seconded. You know what? I do have a question on this. So when they do maintenance, they just go in and what do they check? What do they
Service any replaceable parts. There's rubber pieces that pick up the envelope and move it through the machinery that do wear out.
So it is just equipment maintenance.
Software too. Software put the signature verification on the first round.
So it is.
Check it. And I believe this one also has the Periscript. So the automatic or the first round of signature verification is done electronically. It's software.
Okay, and that's part of this, of the maintenance package. Okay,
And we
okay,
do verify those signatures by human after.
okay. Thank you. Okay, so second, been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Elections payable, OCVR, annual maintenance.
Yes, this is Umatilla County's portion of Oregon centralized voter registration. It's the voter registration software that the entire state uses for not only voter registration, but also election management. And this amount of $7,776 is representation of our portion of cost.
Out of curiosity, I think I asked this the last time this came up. Is this the software that reports back to the Secretary of State that does the reporting back to the public?
No, this is the software that we data enter voter registration information, manage the districts, generate the ballot label envelopes, bring the envelopes back. It's the whole package for not only voter registration, election management, petitions, district management, and all the reports that we run based off of voter registration and election management. So election night reporting, the one where we enter in the information, we upload it to the state. It's election night reporting, and it's an entirely different system. And that's where the reporting of the election results for the state.
So, okay, that's pretty clear. But my question is, we maintain our own voter rolls, right?
Yes.
Why then are we part of, what does this do for us?
This is part of the service agreements on the state level for the servers and maintenance software-wise or any change.
Just if we didn't do this, we would have to have our own system. But because of Help America Vote, I'm going to say when Bush Gore back then, we were hired to move to a centralized voter registration throughout the whole state, so people could vote in various counties, so they can make sure we're registered, not registered in 2 counties.
This system is the one, if I vote in multiple counties, it'll throw my votes out.
Basically, in a sense, that's a crude way of saying it, but yeah.
Because I'm the kind of guy.
It's a shared with the other 35 counties in the state.
All
So-
36 counties participate?
Yes.
Move for approval.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Maintenance, Stafford, Hansell, HVAC consultant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dan Lanai, Director of Administrative Services. Before you is a bid for replacing the VAVs, the volume controls that actually allows the volume of air moving throughout the building there. And if we upgrade these, which is about $25,000 to do that, but we had 2 bids. One was for $25,196.62. The other was for $1,003,495. And then the third, Apollo, did not return a bid on it. And we qualify for $17,000 of the Energy Trust grant by making it more efficient. If you don't have the right pressure within your ductwork, it actually is less efficient, not enough heat getting here or not enough cooling. And these VAVs, these newer ones, allow a lot better control of that, in which they're giving a grant to, if we can go ahead and put these in and then meet those pressure regulations.
Quick question, Dan. Who's in charge of applying for this grant?
So what we do is we go through the Energy Trust, and the guy's Dan, last name begins with a P, I can't remember right now. He's out in Enterprise area, so he's the local energy rep, and we go through him and all the paperwork we do with the contracts and stuff.
You guys do the paperwork, not the contractor.
Yes, well, yeah, Dan does most of the work for us,
That's what I meant.
and he's not the HVAC contractor, he's a total third-party Energy Trust.
If you guys are the ones that track it, no one comes in. Perfect. I move for approval.
I'll second, but I do have a comment. That is a wide swing between 25,000. Red.
Marty worked, we talked with them, they're out of Portland, Holiday Parks is out of Tri-Cities, and so this time of year and different.
HMS is gonna be more expensive no matter what.
You already did. Second. All right, it's been moved and seconded, and you double, triple checked this, correct?
Yeah,
You're gonna
right,
do everything that
Marty's
you
been
need to
on it,
do.
he's been talking with them, and,
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. So
Next thing, maintenance care office carpet remodeling expenditure.
as part of the restructuring with CARE and relocating them now at the Banner Bank with the vets over there, they've expanded the office space, which is connecting with the Veterans Office. And at that time, we are putting in a wall to create more office space, putting door into once the wall's put in there. And this also includes carpeting. And so that is to do all the construction work in there. Yeah.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Maintenance care office security cameras, fobs.
So this one will allow us to connect it to our fob system. So we no longer have to give out keys for that. And also allows for other security, so we can immediately turn something off when somebody's been terminated. You never know how those cases go and stuff. So this gives us greater access and security for those offices. And at the same time, we're going to be adding cameras in case some of the clients do in the lobby area. It won't be on the employees, just the lobby area in case they get out of control. We do have security tracking. And it's part of our liability improvements that we've been doing with our insurance and stuff.
Been moved and seconded. I do have a question. Does Banner Bank, does some official in the building have access in those offices in case of an emergency, fire, or that type of thing?
They are keys for our locks, our key set. I don't know the answer. If they actually have I didn't think they had access to our stuff, just because of the nature of the veterans that they have. But
Kim says no.
The terms they do. I just don't recall us giving them a key, but I can look into that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
EDDP Suite Edition LLC payable.
I didn't know.
Morning, Commissioners. Before you have a DD payable for Suite Editions LLC. As a conflict.
I am always impressed how these Kim's outreach to the community and how these get done, reimbursed. Hats off, Kim, the whole department. Thank you for doing this. These are, so I move for approval.
Second. And I'm with Dan. I appreciate this too. Very, very much. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. CDP Construction Inc. payable.
There's Kim.
Good morning, Kim Beck, Director of Human Services. I'm here before you to ask for approval to pay a deposit of $13,435.50 to Her Construction for a home remodel.
I move for approval.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Training payable.
Before we, since this is just a down payment and the whole project will come back for further payment, you want to possibly just have asked the board to approve the project so that she does not come back for the remainder.
The documents attached to the payable actually show that we have been approved for the entire project.
Okay.
And that we'll get reimbursed for the entire.
Go ahead and make a motion to approve the contract amount for $89,570. Does that cover it? All right, an amendment? You accept the
I
amendment?
do.
I move to amend the motion to $89,570.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion. Thank you.
And I have the next one.
Of course you do.
This is a request to pay Cola Shipping Tower $6,950. This will be the culmination of our service access grant that we got through the American Rescue funds from the state of Oregon. Cola has completed the family training sessions, and she will, November 19th, she will complete the professional training certification for professionals. And basically, the safety training is for her to train families and then train professionals to train families on how to use a safety plan that she created that is a document that can be given to police within the first 24 hours of somebody going missing. And that originally came out of the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and People Initiative. We partnered with COLA to add an addendum to that for people who communicate differently, specifically with developmental and intellectual disability population, their communication, medications, all of that for the police to have. But it's also expanded to elderly populations, people with dementia. And so the project has ended up being much bigger than we initially planned, and it's a very heartwarming and rewarding project.
The only comment I had is the invoice confused me to death. Trying to figure out on a per basis what the training was and the difference between the safety and the master training. So that helped a little bit, but trying to break it down on a per basis, it just never matched up. But I'm all for it 100%. I move to approve.
And I'll second, and I just want to comment that every time you talk about this, Kim, it just makes a person want to mark off their calendar and go attend, just because I think what she has to say, like you said, is heartwarming, but I think there's a real need there. And you've mentioned that several times. So it's definitely a win-win for these folks that are taking this. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion. Thank you. Kim. Community and Economic Development Grant Approval.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Walder, Community Development Director. The action item before you is for approval of the fall 2025 Community and Economic Development grants. The committee met last week and formed some recommendations, and I'll just go through those real quick with you. The projects recommended for approval include City of Athena for their city pool renovations. Recommended funding of $15,000. City of Echo for school safety zone improvements, $9,000. City of Pilot Rock, their Pilot Rock generator for resiliency at City Hall and their emergency services for $15,000. City of Ukiah, city park renovations, $11,000. Helix Parks and Rec District, Helix Community Picnic Shelter Roof Replacement Project, $8,000. Milton Freewater Junior Show, their 2026 Building Grounds and Improvement Project for the Pig Arena, Phase 1, $10,000. Oregon East Symphony, $40,000 for their 40th anniversary season, $10,000. And Umatilla County Fire District Number 1. Initiative for healthy firefighters, purchasing exercise equipment for their staff in the amount of $10,000 for a total of $88,000.
I think I say this every time we bring these up. It's one of the most enjoyable things that I get to do as a commissioner. And I know that when the original Fund for Economic Development was established, my dad was part of that. he would come home and grumble about how do you make it fair and what. So when they really simplified it and brought it back to the county level, I think made a huge difference. My hat's off to Bob, but especially to all the folks that showed up in the evening and had the deliberations on this. They're fun but not easy. And my hats are off, and I move for approval.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion.
Thank you.
Planning Commission appointments.
No, we're not. I'm sorry. Now I'm good.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Dokchowski, Planning Division Manager. We have 3 planning commissioners whose terms are expiring, and 3 of them are willing and able to serve another term. So I'm requesting that they be reappointed for a second full term, which would end December 1st.
Move for approval as quickly.
And I second. And I actually sat on the planning commission for a while with these 3 gentlemen. And yeah, what a nice group. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Sale of property.
This
Thanks,
item
Megan.
before the board is for the sale of property that was acquired due to delinquent property taxes. As is usually went through the auction back in August, there were not any bids. It was at that point a minimum amount of $900. Since then, we have received a written bid from an adjacent property owner requesting to purchase it, and it meets the minimum statutory amount that matters before the board for approval of the sale.
I move to adopt order number BCC 2025-045.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion. ATV ordinance.
Okay, the ATV ordinance is back before the board. There was a first reading of this back in October. Then there's been some changes, and now it's just back before the board for further discussion and possible next step. Since the first reading, the permit requirement's been deleted, and the definition sections for ATV and operating permit have been updated to further define what each classification of an ATV, the 4 classifications now added. And also a map is proposed for the area that will be subject to the permits.
I want to thank the sheriff's office. They're here, sheriff's department. They're here today. And I had a great conversation with Under Sheriff Littlefield yesterday. And one of the things that we talked about was maybe upping a little bit to the ATV, ATV, what word am I looking for? Just people out riding, just to do checks on that. And one of the things that we talked about were certain areas that I knew about that patrol, that's the word I'm looking for. Just maybe upping some of those areas, patrol areas. And so one of the things he talked about, of course, is that what they do is if somebody complains, they go out and check. And so, you know, maybe upping those patrols just a little bit. So anyway, did you want to comment, either one of you?
Josh Roberts, with the Sheriff's Office again. I just appreciate the work that the commissioners have done on this and working with us. So that we stand ready to enforce whatever legislation you guys enact. And so all I would say is if you're aware of any hotspots, any complaints, let us know. We can do targeted patrols in areas if we're getting areas of complaint. We can certainly do some focused patrols in that area. Try to mitigate problems. We stand ready to serve and do it. So.
Wonderful, thank you. And one of the things that was talked about too was the permit. and the state permit, that's a sticker on the vehicle. And one of the comments in one of our meetings was it makes it easy for you to patrol if you come upon a vehicle and you can see that they've got that permit. That definitely makes it easier.
Yes.
So that was one of the things that was talked about. I wanted to address some of the things that Commissioner Doran talked about. One of them was I visited with the tribes yesterday, and Sergeant Lehman was his name. And his only concern was that they wanted to make sure that we had signage on the edges of the reservation so that people knew, that ATV use was not permitted in that area. And so not a big deal with him. He said that there were certain points where they would put the signage up just to make sure that people knew that they were on the reservation at that point. Let's see, another area was mileage. The ordinance says that it's gravel roads. Gravel roads are good. Paved roads, under 40 miles an hour. If they're not posted, then their basic rule, which is 55. And then talked to Tom Fellows. What he said is that we could certainly put up, this road is not acceptable for ATV use if, if there's any question on a paved road. But we did talk about signage, a budget for signage, and he said that their budget would allow about 10 signs a year to be placed around the county. The other concern that you had, Commissioner Doran, was on liability. And I talked to county council, and they said that basically the ATV, UTV is in the same boat as cars in Umatilla County. Have I hit everything?
No.
Okay, I knew you.
Should we have a discussion?
Let's have a discussion.
So
Thank you.
so his budget allowed 10 signs, so we're only going to open 5 roads. Or less, I guess it'd be less than 5 roads.
No, if there was a question on a road.
This has to be posted to use the road.
Well, if the
So
ordinance,
you have signs that say, according to your ordinance, you have signs that say ATV, UTVs allowed,
acceptable, allowed.
and say that road has to have a 40-mile-an-hour sign.
Okay,
So if you're going both directions, that's 4 signs for each road. You have a budget for 10,
budget for 10 right now.
so that's basically 2 roads.
Okay.
And I'm not saying don't come back and ask. I think that if you identify the roads, identify the number of signs needed, and come back and ask the commissioners for a budget, I think that we can find that money.
Are we gonna have to post every single road that ATV, UTVs are acceptable?
Not on gravel roads necessarily, but you would on paved roads. But
But
you
the
gotta make sure
But the way the ordinance reads, you'd have to do it on gravel roads too.
You wouldn't have to do it on paved roads if it was 40 miles an hour or under, correct?
So it's posted.
If it's posted 40 miles an hour, then you're good to go.
Then you have to put a UTV sign on it.
Why?
That's what this says. Roads will be identified by sign.
And the post signs at locations necessary to inform the public that ATVs are permitted. Sign locations will be determined by the county and its sole discretion.
Okay. That's a conversation I'd have to have with Tom.
Okay.
Because what he told me, he read that And he said the way the ordinance is written, that would take care of 90% of the roads that we're looking at in the mapped area.
It's fine.
Okay,
So anyway,
that's a conversation we can have with him.
Okay.
Okay.
the next question is on the 3B. Another person must, an adult person must also be along. Is that as a passenger or riding another TV alongside, or how's that?
You want to speak on that?
Ron Hayes, Umatilla County Sheriff's Office, 4700 Northwest Pioneer Place, care of. So that is in line with existing statute for UTV use and ATV use, where you have a card carrying member, in other words, somebody that's carrying an ATV operator's card present to supervise anybody that has an ATV operator's card that is under the age of 18 now, 16 to have to be.
You don't
So
have
if
to
they're in
be
a
a
UTV, they have to be, if they're in a UTV, they should be in the UTV with them. And if they're on ATVs, then they can be on ATV. Not unlike motorcycle. Yeah. Supervision present, but it doesn't have to be the same machine.
You might want to refer to that ORS. There's, so that's
Okay.
and on the next one, this is one that I'm still having a hard time with, is the operator must have any other permit required by the state of Oregon for operating an ATV. And this also kind of goes with 4D, is the vehicle must have a valid Oregon state issued ATV operating permit or any other permit required by the state of Oregon. So ATVs and UTVs from Washington or Idaho or Arizona or Massachusetts aren't allowed?
So, yeah, there's, within OPRD, it's actually very easily searched. There's reciprocity with certain states and not others, and that's based on Oregon statute, that if you don't recognize us, we don't recognize you.
Gotcha.
And Washington is not one of the reciprocity states, so we require
Exactly right.
Washington operators to carry an Oregon permit. And they're also required to have an Oregon ATV, OHV operator.
Yeah, we were riding at a park up by Lake Chelan
Sure,
and it was even in a park setting.
sure. No, I understand.
And they would not allow the
Yeah.
Oregon.
It's not a good neighbors relationship.
No.
When they pull themselves off the snow park permit, they pull themselves off of every other part of reciprocity. And so due to Oregon statute, you don't recognize us, we don't recognize you. So we have,
Yeah.
mid-Atlantic, we've got like, it's a quilt work of different states that say Oregon's fine and then others that say Oregon's not fine. So that's the relationship.
I don't know if you can make that clearer than just an ORS. Because I think we have a lot of.
My suggestion on anything that pertains to an ORS is to actually just put the ORS citation in there, because then it's searchable by the public.
Have in another area. I agree with
Thank
that.
you.
That's a great point. On the ORS 467.3 and also on OAR, and this is talking about the functioning mufflers and stuff. To me, I would like to see some kind of language on spark arrestor, because you can put aftermarket mufflers on and achieve 99.
Right.
And still be blowing flames out the back.
Right. Flame arresters are absolutely required.
Yeah.
For operation on public lands.
I-
And so that statutory citation would also be beneficial.
So did you want the wording in there? Talk about spark arresters.
However the OAR is. And this brings up what Roland just talked about, is on E, when you talk about 806.60, it's a very short on insurance, and it's very clear. And I think that it's one of the most mandatory things that should be included in this ordinance. I'd like to see this spelled out, that obtaining a motor vehicle liability policy requirements under ORS 806.080 that will provide at least minimum limits necessary to pay amounts established under the payment schedule under ORS. That's pretty steep, actually, in Oregon compared to other states. Or becoming self-insured under the same ordinance. It's not easily achievable with law.
Not many people have $1 million to park into an account for self-insuring.
Yeah, so I think printing that out in the ordinance, maybe not to make this ordinance any longer, but just to make it.
Again, I can only recommend, and I recommend that statutory citations just be noted.
Yeah.
And that way, if there's any future question pertaining to that section and subsection, it can be addressed through that statutory citation. But, makes sense to the end users of the public.
Excuse me just a second. Dan, you said ORS 806.080, and this says 060.
Well,
So
it's
do you have something new,
no,
new information?
no, probably read it wrong, but I think so.
Okay, thank you.
And then, the map, you handed us a map, but it doesn't have the roads in it. I think that's what we was looking for, is a map of the roads. This says area covered by ATV ordinance, and there's state roads, county roads, paved roads, there's all kinds of roads. And in fact, the green line goes into Morrow County. But I think we need to identify the roads. Back to the
Sorry, just a second. So on the Forest Service map, do they list out the roads, or is there a map with special kind of identifier for ATV, UTV use?
So the Forest Service publishes, as they update the motor vehicle use maps,
Right,
and they'll do sectional maps in black and white, paper pullouts. They categorize in the legend the road type and road category in the legend
okay,
for what's allowable, what's not allowable. And then the map itself is just a general map. It doesn't actually say this road is good for this road's good for that, but they have an explanation in the legend for road type, road classification, or any specific closures. So there are certain sections where they'll not typically allow operation, but they will in that one lane. And they'll notate that on the map itself. And then there's a special use map, which is the one that we use generally. It's actually a cost fee format, whereas the emblem maps are published for free consumption from the public. And also the online site through the U.S. Forest Service, they also list all the emblems. That's totally searchable by a media device. And that outlines the requirements for that ride area. And those ride areas change per
They
forest
do, I just
and within forests. So they're very specific, and it's really done through environmental study, so what kind of water drains you have, what kind of wildlife transiting you have. And they're trying to factor that in to have a minimal impact on the environment. It's really the purpose of that, and still allow public access.
Yeah. There's actually changed a lot. So if you go online, sometimes if you go online in the morning, it's allowed to ride. And by the evening, it'll change, but it also will give you a 24 or 48 hour window too.
So I think what you're referring to, sir, is the seasonal specific. They'll have environmental concerns, and they'll like, okay, we're closing this section. But
Or even logging.
yeah,
If they're,
especially if they have a timber sale.
okay.
So they modify it electronically, which, we're very sympathetic to, like the end user that's good faith acting off a paper map, and they're, in the wrong place, wrong time, like, okay, got it. Let's go out of here right now.
Mhm.
there's 2 new interns in the EIS. If you could talk Kinsey into training and that, giving them a nice project to work on. Develop a GIS map really quickly. Next is, I'm still, and now that we're not having a permit, because I think the easiest way to notify of a no use because of a burn restriction would have been just by emailing all the permit holders. But I still not clear how we're gonna notify or put out notice that all ATVs are shut down because of burn.
See, we've had quite a discussion on this, and one was, social media was one, website was another, and using, like radio, newspaper, that type.
We're not gonna cover signs or,
Talked about covering signs. I mean, it was just, trying to get the word out. Just like we would do, if it was a burn, could burn or that type.
so it's a call in.
Well, no, it'd be on the website, just, trying to get it out there, get the word out there. Yes. Do you have a suggestion?
Well, Forest Service, Ronald talked about that, but a lot of their signs, they actually put no use because of burn ban right over their sign.
They do temporary postings for fire season, and they would do those at set locations. They'll have like informational kiosk boards at road junctures.
Right.
And so they'll post a temporary posting. I don't know that that's practical at the county. I don't know whether it is practical at the county level or not, but I mean, it's worth consideration. And then they also, when they do, it specifically did a tremendous job during COVID. They black bag all the signs. Literally came out with trash bags. I'm just, we're done. Like, no, you're not here now. Kind of a deal. We were still there, but they weren't.
Okay. That's interesting. That's good. Thank you.
I guess that's all I got. Right. Oh, yeah. The other part was the posting of signs, and we talked about that. That's it. Thank you for all your work on this.
Okay, so, thank you. And I need to thank, believe me, there's a whole group of people that have worked hard on this ordinance, so thank you so much. And if we could, can we put it on the agenda for our next meeting to vote on it? Okay. Thank you. Building improvement policy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Warner, Deputy County Counsel. Before you is a request for action on the drafted building improvement policy. Essentially what this policy does is create a standardized yearly process for county departments to submit major alterations or value-added projects to different county buildings and things of that nature. There's some examples listed in the policy, but briefly it would be things like altering a wall, rewiring a ceiling, etc. Major remodeling type projects. It would not include things such as fixing a leaky faucet or that's not shutting correctly, moving office furniture, etc. All projects for the upcoming year would need to be submitted via the attached application by September 30th for review and approval by the Board of Commissioners for the coming year. Now, that puts us in a spot going forward that in which we have some time between the next September 30th deadline and now. What this proposal would ask the board to do would be between now and December 31st, have departments submit the application for all upcoming projects in lieu of the current process, which is more or less just asking. And then by December 31st, submit all projects for the next fiscal year, which would be June, July of 26, which would start. So 27, then by 27, 28, we would have our first round of approved project. With that, I would open it up for any questions. by commissioners.
Well, don't have any questions. I thought you put together a pretty good form. I'm assuming that there'll be questions down the road and may get modified, but I think you did a great job. I'd move for approval, adoption.
I do have a comment though.
Absolutely.
There's no monetary amount. Correct?
That is correct, and part of that is there are certain projects that would fall underneath this definition that might not necessarily meet a monetary amount. We wanted in crafting this policy to more capture the type of project as opposed to how much it costs. We wanted to draw that line between things that are major remodels or add value to county property as opposed to things that are more classified as upkeep and maintenance. Part of that is to streamline the process, and part of that is to give our facilities department a little bit more time to focus on maintenance, which I think over time will.
I think in reality, as the facilities department reviews these, I think that they have a deep enough knowledge to probably give a fairly decent ballpark number for final review.
Correct, and that
I think that's the way I interpret.
Yep, and that's the intent in asking for action here today, is that facilities would be able to give more or less a round number for approval and engage in the.
And I think that will help Robert during budget season to be able to understand, even though it's just an estimate. It's always going to be an estimate until you do the project.
Yeah, and I'm guaranteed you're gonna find that gray area between maintenance and improvement. Something's gonna pop up, to where does it slide in there or not?
No doubt, and this may need to be amended as time goes on. But my hope is that it'll be a good.
I think it's a great idea, yeah. So it's been moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Nick. Thanks for the work on that.
Anything for the good of the order? Dan?
I don't think I have anything.
Thank you.
Okay,
That went quicker than I thought it would.
all right. We're adjourned.